Okay, today I'm going to be showing you how to create two different polymer clay creations. These are going to be the supplies you need for the first creation, which is mashed potatoes. First, to create the mashed potato, take a sort of a flesh colored clay and get a reasonable amount. It really depends on how big you want. I'm going to make mine a little bigger. So roll this, get it nice, and kind of make it into like an oval shape. Just like that. Now, taking a darker brown clay, roll it out until it is nice and flat. You're going to be using this to go over the entire mashed potato. So just get it really thin so it can cover the whole potato and with no rips or anything like that. Okay, so I think this is big enough, and what I want to do is I'm just going to smooth it down, and if you can see, I have a crack right there. That's okay because I'm going to be splitting my potato right there, so that doesn't really matter. And then just pull all of them down to the sides. And then just tear off the sides and smooth it down so it goes all the way around. When you're finished, we'll move on to the next step. Okay, now that I have my potato completely covered with brown, I have that rip right there, and so that's going to be where I am going to be cutting my potato open. So taking an X-Acto knife or a blade, just run down the potato like so, and then just stick the blade in and then separate the two sides. Make sure there's a little space in between because you're going to be texturing this the way you like. So just shape it with your fingers to the way you want it, and so it's like a potato. Like this. Should look somewhat like this. Let's move on to the next step. Okay, now what you're going to do is you're going to take your X-Acto knife and taking the little point right here, you're going to be creating some texture inside the likeliness of a real mashed potato. So just scrape it and kind of make it a bumpy texture. Like Now that I've finished texturing the inside of my potato, I'm going to, again, take my X-Acto knife and I'm just going to be creating some lines on the outside, like a real potato. Would have. Just to give it some texture and a baseline for where we'll be putting our chalk pastels. So just give it a little bit of texture like this. Okay. The next step, we are going to be taking brown pastels, so shave some out. We're going to take a tiny bit of orange, just a tiny bit. We're going to make a tiny bit of black. And finally, we're going to take a tiny bit of white. So mix those all together, and then I'll show you what we'll be doing next. Now that you have your powders mixed together, take them and just brush the mixture all over the sides. This is giving a baked look when the skin is dark. And giving it a little more Okay, now to create butter, we're going to take some brown, sorry, I mean yellow, and just take a tiny, like a tiny little bit, and just split that in half, and split that in half, and then just create a tiny little square piece of butter like this. Then what you're going to do is just set that in, and then taking liquid sculptey, pour it on your piece of paper. You only need a tiny bit. And then get your yellow chalk pastels, scrape some on, and then mix it all together. And this is the butter melting, so just don't put that everywhere, just on the sides. Just set it in there like that. The last step in this polymer clay creation is to again take your translucent liquid sculptey and take some white clay, stick that in, and then take some white chalk pastels and just mix it all up. This is going to be sour cream. Get it nice and good because we want it to be a little thicker than the butter, so it has some structure and looks like real. Mix that really good and take a little bit of it. Make sure it's chunky like this, and this is going to be the sour cream. You don't want a whole lot, so even a little less than that will work. About this much, because you don't want to cover up your butter, and just and just set it where the butter isn't, right around there. And as you can see, the whipped cream has sour cream has a little more structure. Okay, so watch my other video, and this is the first part, and part 2 will show you how to create spaghetti. So I hope you enjoyed watching, and try this out and make your own mashed potato. Bye!